Teen girl gives birth to a baby that speaks multiple languages. How is this even possible? To find out, watch the video to the end. But first, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get more stories like this. It all started in a quiet, rural town nestled between rolling hills and dense forests. The kind of place where everyone knew everyone, and life moved at a pace that felt untouched by the modern world. For 17-year-old Maria, life in this town had always been simple, predictable even. She lived with her parents in a modest house and spent her days attending school, helping her mom around the house, and dreaming of a life beyond the small borders of her community. Maria was bright and curious, the type of girl who could light up a room with her smile. But like most teenagers, she harbored secrets, dreams she never shared, fears she didn't voice. So when Maria discovered she was pregnant, her world was thrown into chaos. She hadn't planned for this. She didn't know how to tell her parents or what her future would look like. All she knew was that her life was about to change forever. The pregnancy wasn't easy for Maria. While her parents eventually came to terms with the news and supported her, the whispers and stares from neighbors and classmates were harder to bear. People in the town were quick to judge, their curious glances and hushed conversations following her wherever she went. But Maria held her head high, determined to prove that she could face this challenge with strength and grace. As the months passed, Maria found comfort in the small moments. The first flutter of her baby moving inside her, the gentle encouragement from her mother, and the late-night talks with her best friend, Elena, who stood by her side through it all. "Do you ever think about what the baby will be like?" Elena asked one evening as they sat on Maria's porch, watching the sunset. "All the time," Maria admitted, her hands resting on her growing belly. "I just want them to be healthy and happy. That's all that matters." Elena nodded, her expression thoughtful. "I bet they'll have your smile." Maria laughed softly. "I hope they have more than that. Maybe they'll grow up to do something incredible, you know?" Neither of them could have imagined just how incredible that baby would be. The day of Maria's delivery arrived on a crisp autumn morning. The air was cool and fresh, the leaves on the trees painted in vibrant shades of red and gold. Maria was rushed to the local hospital, her parents and Elena by her side. The labor was long and difficult, but Maria pushed through with determination. When the baby was finally born, the room was filled with a mix of relief and joy. Maria cradled her newborn in her arms, tears streaming down her face as she gazed at the tiny life she had brought into the world. The baby, a boy with piercing blue eyes and a full head of dark hair, was perfect. But it wasn't long before Maria and the others realized there was something extraordinary about him. The first sign came just hours after his birth. As Maria rested in her hospital bed, her baby nestled against her chest, a nurse entered the room to check on them. Maria watched with a tired but content smile as the nurse cooed at the baby in a soft, soothing voice. "Look at you, little one," the nurse said. "So alert already." To Maria's astonishment, the baby seemed to respond, not with cries or coos, but with something that sounded remarkably like words. The nurse froze, her eyes widening as she turned to Maria. "Did you hear that?" the nurse asked, her voice trembling. Maria frowned, her exhaustion making it hard to process what had just happened. "What do you mean?" "The baby. It sounded like he said something," the nurse said, her hands trembling slightly as she adjusted the baby's blanket. Maria laughed nervously. "That's impossible. He's just a few hours old." But as the days went by, it became clear that this baby was anything but ordinary. At first, the words were simple and unclear, little more than murmurs that seemed to mimic the sounds around him. But within a week, the baby, whom Maria had named Mateo, was forming words with surprising clarity. He would babble phrases like mama and milk with startling precision, leaving Maria and her family in awe. By the time Mateo was a month old, his abilities had grown even more remarkable. He began mimicking not just words but entire sentences, and he seemed to understand the meaning behind them. Maria would read to him from her old storybooks, and Mateo would repeat lines back to her in a voice that sounded far too mature for an infant. The first time Maria realized the true extent of Mateo's abilities was when she overheard him speaking to Elena in Spanish. Maria and her family spoke only Portuguese at home, but Elena often used Spanish phrases when she visited. Mateo had picked up on them effortlessly. "Hola, Elena," Mateo said one afternoon, his tiny voice clear and confident. Elena nearly dropped the cup of tea she was holding. "Maria," she exclaimed. "Did you hear that? He just said hello to me, in Spanish." Maria stared at her son in disbelief. "Mateo, can you say it again?" "Oh, Mama," Mateo replied, his smile wide and innocent. Word of Mateo's extraordinary abilities spread quickly through the town. People who had once gossiped about Maria's pregnancy now flocked to her house, eager to catch a glimpse of the miracle baby. Some came out of genuine curiosity, while others sought to satisfy their disbelief. "He's just a baby," Maria would say, trying to shield Mateo from the prying eyes of strangers. "Please give us some space." But Mateo's talents couldn't be hidden for long. By the time he was 6 months old, he was speaking fluently in multiple languages, switching seamlessly between Portuguese, Spanish, and even bits of English that he had picked up from television. Maria's home became the center of attention in their small town. Reporters from local newspapers and television stations began arriving at her doorstep, eager to document Mateo's extraordinary abilities. At first, Maria was hesitant. She wanted to protect her son from the overwhelming curiosity of the outside world, but the constant knocking on her door made it difficult to maintain any sense of normalcy. One day, after much persuasion from her parents and Elena, Maria agreed to allow one reporter, a kind woman named Sofia, to interview her. Sofia assured Maria that her intention was to share their story with care and respect. Sitting in the cozy living room of Maria's home, Sofia asked gently, "When did you first notice that Mateo was different?" Maria cradled Mateo in her arms, her expression thoughtful. "It started almost immediately," she said. "At first, I thought I was imagining it. But then he began repeating words, and it wasn't just random sounds. It was like he understood what he was saying." Mateo, who was now 7 months old, interrupted the conversation with a clear, "Hello, Sofia. How are you?" Sofia gasped, her pen falling from her hand. "Did he just?" Maria nodded, a small smile on her lips. "He picks up things so quickly. It's like his mind is always working." Sofia leaned forward, her eyes wide with wonder. "This is incredible. Do you know how many languages he can speak?" Maria hesitated, glancing at Mateo. "So far, I've heard him speak Portuguese, Spanish, and English. But sometimes he babbles in sounds I don't recognize. I think he might be imitating other languages he's heard on TV or from visitors." The story of Mateo's linguistic talents quickly spread beyond their town, capturing the attention of scientists and linguists around the world. Offers began pouring in from universities and research institutions, all eager to study Mateo's abilities. Some framed their interest as an opportunity to understand the human brain, while others were more focused on the spectacle of an ingenious baby. Maria felt torn. On one hand, she wanted Mateo to have a normal childhood, free from the pressures and scrutiny of the outside world. On the other hand, she couldn't deny the potential value of sharing his abilities with experts who might learn something extraordinary from him. "Do you think I'm doing the right thing?" Maria asked Elena one evening as they sat together in the kitchen, poring over a stack of letters and emails. Elena shrugged, her expression sympathetic. "I think you're doing the best you can, Maria. No one could have prepared you for something like this. But whatever you decide, Mateo's well-being has to come first." Maria nodded, her heart heavy. She wished she could shield Mateo from the world, but she knew that his gifts were too unique to ignore. Eventually, Maria agreed to meet with a renowned linguist, Dr. Isabel Ferreira, who had traveled from Lisbon to visit them. Dr. Ferreira was a warm and enthusiastic woman in her late 40s, with a passion for languages and a genuine curiosity about Mateo's abilities. During their first meeting, Dr. Ferreira observed Mateo closely as he interacted with Maria and Elena. She listened in awe as Mateo switched effortlessly between Portuguese and Spanish, his vocabulary far surpassing that of any other child his age. "This is remarkable," Dr. Ferreira said, her voice filled with excitement. "His brain is like a sponge, absorbing and processing language at an unprecedented rate. Have you noticed any patterns in how he learns?" Maria shook her head. It all seems so natural to him. He doesn't need to be taught. He just listens and picks it up. Dr. Ferreira nodded thoughtfully. It's as if his mind is wired differently. I'd like to conduct some non-invasive tests, with your permission, to better understand how his brain processes language. Maria hesitated, her protective instincts flaring. What kind of tests? Nothing that would harm him, Dr. Ferreira assured her. Just simple observations and cognitive exercises. And of course, you'd be with him every step of the way. After much consideration, Maria agreed. She knew this was an opportunity to learn more about her son and to potentially help others understand the mysteries of the human brain. Over the next few weeks, Dr. Ferreira conducted her observations with Mateo, marveling at his abilities. She introduced him to new languages, playing recordings of French, German, and even Mandarin. Mateo's response was astounding. Within days, he was mimicking phrases in each language with remarkable accuracy. One afternoon, as Dr. Ferreira played a recording of a children's story in French, Mateo turned to her and said, "C'est une belle histoire. It's a beautiful story." The room fell silent as everyone processed what they had just heard. Dr. Ferreira broke the silence, her voice filled with wonder. "Maria, your son is speaking French after hearing it for just a few days. This is beyond anything I've ever seen." Maria smiled, pride and amazement swelling in her chest. "He never stops surprising me." As Mateo's fame grew, so did the challenges Maria faced. While many people were kind and supportive, others were skeptical or even hostile. Some accused Maria of exploiting her son, while others dismissed Mateo's abilities as a hoax. Maria did her best to stay focused on what mattered, raising Mateo with love and care. But the constant attention took its toll, and she often found herself longing for the quiet, simple life they had before the world discovered Mateo's gifts. One evening, as Maria tucked Mateo into bed, he looked up at her with his bright, intelligent eyes. "Mama, why do so many people want to talk to me?" Maria hesitated, unsure of how to explain the complexity of their situation to a child so young. "Because you're special, Mateo," she said gently. "You have a gift that makes people curious. But what's most important is that you stay true to yourself and remember that you're loved." Mateo nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I love you too, Mama." Maria kissed his forehead, her heart full. No matter what challenges lay ahead, she knew she would do everything in her power to protect and support her extraordinary son. As weeks turned into months, Mateo's abilities continued to amaze everyone around him. By his first birthday, he was not only speaking fluently in multiple languages but also showing signs of understanding their cultural nuances. For instance, when speaking French, he adopted a tone and mannerisms often associated with native speakers. It was as if he could intuitively grasp the essence of each language, not just the words. Maria, however, began to notice that Mateo's extraordinary talents came with unique challenges. While his linguistic abilities were unparalleled, he often struggled to connect with children his age. At the local park, where Maria took him to play, other toddlers were still babbling incoherently, while Mateo spoke in complete sentences. One day, as Maria watched Mateo approach a group of children, her heart sank when she saw them scatter, giggling nervously. Mateo turned back to her, confusion written across his face. "Mama," he said softly, "why don't they want to play with me?" Maria knelt down, wrapping her arms around him. "It's not that they don't want to, Mateo," she said gently. "They just don't understand you yet. But that doesn't mean you're not special." Mateo nodded, but Maria could see the sadness lingering in his eyes. She realized then that her role as his mother wasn't just to nurture his gifts but also to help him navigate the complexities of being different in a world that often feared what it didn't understand. Determined to give Mateo a sense of belonging, Maria reached out to Dr. Ferreira for advice. The linguist, who had become a trusted friend, suggested organizing a small group of children to participate in a language learning program with Mateo. The idea was to create an environment where Mateo could share his talents while also making connections with peers. Maria loved the idea and wasted no time putting it into action. She invited several parents from the community to bring their children to weekly language playdates at her home. At first, the parents were hesitant, unsure of what to expect. But when they saw Matteo engaging with their children in ways that were both educational and fun, their skepticism melted away. During one of these playdates, Matteo taught the group a simple song in Spanish, his voice ringing out clear and confident as the other children followed along. By the end of the session, the room was filled with laughter and singing, and Maria felt a surge of hope. Maybe this is what he needs, she told Elena later that evening. A way to share his gift while building friendships? Elena smiled, her eyes warm. I think you're doing an amazing job, Maria. Matteo is lucky to have you. As the language playdates gained popularity, they caught the attention of a regional education organization. Representatives from the group visited Maria's home to observe one of the sessions, and they were so impressed that they offered to sponsor a larger program. Maria was hesitant at first. She worried about exposing Matteo to even more attention and pressure. But after discussing it with her parents and Dr. Ferreira, she decided to accept the offer. The program, she realized, could be an opportunity not just for Matteo but for other children to discover the joys of language and culture. The new program, called Matteo's World, was launched at a nearby community center. It featured interactive language workshops, cultural storytelling sessions, and even live performances where Matteo showcased his skills. The response was overwhelming. Families from all over the region attended, eager to give their children a chance to learn from the numerical child. One afternoon, during a session at the community center, a young boy named Samuel approached Matteo with a shy smile. Samuel was new to the program and spoke only German, a language Matteo had recently begun learning. To Maria's amazement, Matteo greeted Samuel in near-perfect German, his words accompanied by a warm smile. Samuel's face lit up, and the two boys quickly became inseparable. For the first time, Maria saw Matteo forming a genuine friendship, one that transcended language and cultural barriers. Watching them play together, Maria felt a deep sense of gratitude. Matteo's journey hadn't been easy, but moments like this reminded her that his gift was also a bridge, a way to connect people in ways that words alone couldn't. Despite the success of Matteo's World, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that her son's talents were only part of the story. Matteo often said things that hinted at an understanding far beyond his years. During a quiet moment at home, he once told Maria, "Languages are like keys, Mama. They open doors to people's hearts." Maria stared at him, her breath catching in her throat. "Where did you learn that, Matteo?" she asked softly. Matteo shrugged, his expression serene. "I just know, Mama. It's like the words are already inside me." Maria didn't know how to respond. She felt a mix of wonder and awe, as if she were glimpsing a piece of something far greater than she could comprehend. As Matteo continued to grow, so did the impact of his abilities. Matteo's World expanded to include online programs, allowing children from different countries to connect and learn together. Matteo became a symbol of unity and understanding, his story inspiring countless people around the globe. But through it all, Maria remained grounded. She made sure that Matteo had a childhood filled with love, laughter, and the freedom to explore his own interests. She wanted him to know that he was more than his gift, that he was valued simply for being himself. One evening, as they sat together on the porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, Matteo turned to Maria with a thoughtful expression. "Mama," he said, "do you think everyone has a gift?" Maria smiled, brushing a strand of hair from his face. "I think everyone has something special inside them," she said. "But not everyone finds it right away. Sometimes it takes time." Matteo nodded, his eyes filled with understanding. "I think my gift is to help people find theirs." Maria's heart swelled with pride. "I think you're right, Matteo. And I'm so proud of you." As Matteo's World grew into a global initiative, Maria faced a delicate balancing act. While she was proud of the program's success and the impact it had on so many lives, she was also keenly aware of Matteo's young age. She worked tirelessly to ensure that his childhood wasn't overshadowed by the expectations and attention surrounding him. To help manage this, Maria enlisted the help of trusted friends and family. Elena became a key figure in the program, organizing events and ensuring that Matteo's schedule left plenty of room for play and rest. Maria's parents also pitched in, creating a stable and loving environment at home where Matteo could simply be a child. Despite these efforts, there were moments when the pressure threatened to overwhelm them. One afternoon, as Maria prepared for a large event at the community center, she noticed that Matteo seemed unusually quiet. He sat at the kitchen table, staring out the window with a faraway look in his eyes. "What's on your mind, Carino?" Maria asked, sitting down beside him. Matteo turned to her, his expression thoughtful. "Mama, why does everyone want me to teach them? I'm just a little boy." Maria's heart ached at his words. She reached out to take his hand, her voice gentle. "Because you have a gift, Matteo. And when people see something special in you, they want to learn from it. But that doesn't mean you have to do everything they ask. You're allowed to say no." Matteo nodded slowly, his small hand squeezing hers. "I just want to play sometimes." Maria smiled, her eyes filled with understanding. "And you should. You're a child first, Matteo. The rest can wait." Taking her own advice to heart, Maria began to scale back Matteo's public appearances, focusing instead on creating a balanced life for him. She limited the number of events he attended and prioritized activities that brought him joy, like playing soccer in the backyard, reading storybooks, and building elaborate block towers that often ended in fits of laughter when Matteo knocked them down. The changes made a noticeable difference. Matteo seemed happier and more relaxed, his laughter ringing through the house once again. Maria felt a sense of relief, knowing that she was doing her best to protect her son's well-being. Meanwhile, the impact of Matteo's world continued to grow. The program's online platform connected children from around the globe, fostering friendships and cultural understanding in ways Maria had never imagined. Parents wrote heartfelt letters, sharing stories of how the program had changed their children's lives. One letter, in particular, stood out to Maria. It came from a woman in Japan whose daughter, Yuki, had struggled with a speech delay. Through the program, Yuki had not only learned to speak but had also gained confidence and a love for languages. "Matteo's story gave us hope when we needed it most," the letter read. "He reminded us that anything is possible, and for that, we will always be grateful." Maria shared the letter with Matteo, who listened intently as she read it aloud. When she finished, he looked up at her with wide, earnest eyes. "Mama," he said, "I want to help more kids like Yuki." Maria smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "And you will, Matteo. In your own way, in your own time." As the years passed, Matteo's abilities continued to evolve. By the time he was 4, he was fluent in over 10 languages and showed an uncanny ability to learn new ones with ease. His talents attracted the attention of educators, linguists, and even world leaders, who saw in him a symbol of unity and possibility. Despite the accolades and opportunities, Maria remained steadfast in her commitment to giving Matteo a normal, grounded life. She made sure he had time to explore his interests beyond languages, encouraging him to try everything from painting to gardening. One afternoon, as Matteo painted a colorful landscape at the kitchen table, he turned to Maria with a thoughtful question. "Mama," he asked, "what's your gift?" Maria blinked, surprised by the question. "I don't know, Matteo. I've never really thought about it." Matteo tilted his head, studying her with his piercing blue eyes. "I think your gift is helping people feel loved. You do it for me every day." Tears welled in Maria's eyes as she leaned down to kiss the top of his head. "Thank you, Matteo. That means the world to me." One of the most memorable moments of Matteo's young life came during a special event organized by Matteo's World. The program had been invited to host a language workshop at a United Nations conference on cultural diversity. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to showcase the power of language to bridge divides and foster understanding. Maria was nervous about the event, worried about how Matteo would handle such a high-profile setting. But when the day arrived, Matteo seemed calm and composed, his natural curiosity shining through as he explored the grand conference hall. During the workshop, Matteo stood on stage with Maria by his side, greeting the audience in multiple languages. The crowd was captivated as he spoke about the importance of understanding and respecting different cultures. "Languages are like bridges," Matteo said, his voice clear and confident. "They help us connect, even when we come from different places." And when we understand each other, we can build a better world." The audience erupted into applause, a standing ovation that left Maria blinking back tears. In that moment, she realized just how far they had come, and just how much more they had to give. As the event came to a close, Maria and Matteo were approached by a group of children who had participated in the workshop. They surrounded Matteo, asking questions and sharing their own stories. Matteo listened intently, responding with kindness and encouragement. Watching her son interact with the children, Maria felt a deep sense of gratitude. Matteo's journey hadn't been easy, but it had been filled with moments of connection, growth, and love. And as she stood there, surrounded by the buzz of conversation and laughter, she knew they were exactly where they were meant to be. Following the success of the United Nations workshop, Matteo's name became synonymous with hope and inspiration. Media outlets around the world covered his story, calling him the boy who speaks the world's languages. Invitations poured in from schools, cultural organizations, and international conferences, all wanting to feature Matteo and his message of unity. But Maria, ever protective of her son's well-being, was selective about the opportunities they accepted. For her, it wasn't about fame or recognition, it was about ensuring that Matteo remained happy and grounded. She turned down lucrative offers that felt exploitative and focused instead on collaborations that aligned with their values. One such collaboration was with a global children's charity that worked to provide education to underprivileged communities. The charity proposed creating a special program inspired by Matteo's world, designed to teach languages to children in remote areas. Maria loved the idea and agreed to partner with them. The program, called Voices Without Borders, was launched in several countries, bringing language education to children who had never had the opportunity to learn before. Through video lessons and interactive tools, Matteo's teachings reached far and wide, connecting children across continents. One of the most touching moments of the program came during a trip to a small village in Africa, where Maria and Matteo were invited to visit a school that had implemented Voices Without Borders. The children greeted them with excitement, their smiles wide and welcoming. As Matteo entered the classroom, he was met with a chorus of voices calling out to him in various languages. The children, eager to show off what they had learned, spoke phrases in Portuguese, Spanish, and English, their accents endearing and full of enthusiasm. Matteo's face lit up as he responded in kind, switching seamlessly between languages. He knelt down to speak with a young girl named Amina, who shyly greeted him in English. "Hello, Matteo," Amina said, her voice soft but steady. "Hello, Amina," Matteo replied, his smile warm. "You speak English very well." Amina beamed, her confidence growing. "I learned from your videos." Maria watched the exchange with tears in her eyes. Seeing Matteo connect with these children, who had so little yet radiated so much joy, filled her heart with gratitude. She realized that Matteo's gift wasn't just about languages, it was about breaking barriers and bringing people together. Back at home, Matteo continued to grow into a compassionate and curious young boy. He spent his days exploring new interests, from playing the piano to experimenting with science projects. While his linguistic abilities remained a defining part of his identity, Maria made sure he knew he was more than just his gift. One evening, as they sat together on the couch, Matteo turned to Maria with a thoughtful question. "Mama," he asked, "why do people say I'm special?" Maria smiled, brushing a strand of hair from his face. "Because you have a gift that not many people have, Matteo. But being special isn't just about what you can do, it's about how you use it. And you've used your gift to help others, which makes you truly special." Matteo nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I want to keep helping people, Mama. I want everyone to feel like they matter." Maria's heart swelled with pride. "And you will, Matteo. You already are." As Voices Without Borders expanded, Matteo's story continued to inspire people around the globe. Letters and messages poured in from families, teachers, and children whose lives had been touched by his work. One letter, in particular, stood out to Maria. It was from a father in India whose son, Ravi, had struggled with a stutter. The letter read, "Through Matteo's program, Ravi found his voice. He's now speaking with confidence and even teaching his younger siblings. Thank you for giving our family hope." Maria shared the letter with Matteo, who listened intently as she read it aloud. When she finished, Matteo looked up at her with shining eyes. "Mama," he said, "can we visit Ravi's family? I want to meet them." Maria smiled, her heart full. "We'll see what we can do, Carino." A few months later, Maria and Matteo traveled to India to meet Ravi and his family. The visit was filled with moments of connection and joy. Matteo and Ravi quickly became friends, bonding over their shared love of learning. Ravi's parents expressed their gratitude to Maria, calling Matteo a blessing. As they sat together in the family's modest home, Ravi turned to Matteo with a shy smile. "Thank you for helping me," Ravi said, his voice steady and clear. Matteo shook his head, his smile warm. "You helped yourself, Ravi. I just gave you the tools." Maria watched the exchange with tears in her eyes, feeling a profound sense of purpose. Matteo's journey had been filled with challenges, but moments like this made it all worthwhile. That night, as Maria and Matteo prepared to leave, Ravi's father handed Maria a small wooden carving of a bird. "This is a symbol of freedom," he explained. "It reminds us that language is the key to unlocking the world." Maria accepted the gift with gratitude, her heart heavy with emotion. She knew that Matteo's journey was far from over, but she also knew that they were on the right path, one that was filled with love, connection, and hope. As the years passed, Matteo's story continued to inspire millions, but Maria remained firmly focused on giving him a balanced and fulfilling life. While the world saw Matteo as a linguistic prodigy and a symbol of unity, Maria saw him as her beloved son, a curious, kind-hearted boy with dreams and struggles like any other child. Matteo's days were filled with both ordinary moments and extraordinary opportunities. He played soccer with friends, built forts in the backyard, and curled up with his favorite books at bedtime. At the same time, he continued to contribute to Voices Without Borders, recording new lessons and participating in events that brought together children from all walks of life. One of the most significant milestones came when Matteo turned 8. To celebrate, Maria and the team behind Voices Without Borders organized a special event, a global video conference where children from over 50 countries could interact with Matteo in real time. The event was a resounding success, with children eagerly asking Matteo questions, sharing stories, and even teaching him phrases in their native languages. "Matteo," one child from Brazil asked during the event, "what's your favorite language?" Matteo paused, his face thoughtful. "I don't have a favorite," he said with a smile. "Because every language is like a new friend. And I love having lots of friends." The response was met with cheers and laughter, a testament to Matteo's ability to connect with people on a deeply human level. Despite his growing fame, Matteo never lost sight of the values Maria had instilled in him. He remained humble, kind, and eager to learn. Maria often marveled at his resilience, especially when faced with challenges. There were times when the pressure of being in the spotlight weighed heavily on him, but Matteo always found strength in the support of his family and friends. One evening, as Maria tucked Matteo into bed, he turned to her with a serious expression. "Mama," he said, "do you think I'll always have this gift?" Maria sat on the edge of his bed, her gaze steady. "I don't know, Matteo. But even if it changes, you'll always be you. And that's what matters most." Matteo nodded, his small hand reaching out to hold hers. "I want to use my gift for as long as I can. To help as many people as possible." Maria smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "And you will, Carino. I believe in you." As Matteo grew older, he began to take on a more active role in shaping the direction of Voices Without Borders. He worked closely with Maria and the team, coming up with new ideas and initiatives to expand the program's reach. One of his proudest achievements was the creation of a scholarship fund for underprivileged children, giving them access to education and resources they otherwise wouldn't have had. The fund was named Matteo's Bridges, a nod to his belief that languages were bridges that connected people across cultures and borders. The initiative was met with overwhelming support, with donations pouring in from around the world. By the time Matteo turned 10, he had achieved more than most people do in a lifetime. But he remained grounded, thanks to Maria's unwavering guidance and love. One summer evening, as they sat together on the porch, watching the fireflies dance in the warm twilight, Matteo turned to Maria with a thoughtful question. Mama, he said, what do you think my biggest gift is? Maria tilted her head, considering his question. I think your biggest gift is your heart, Matteo. It's not just about how many languages you can speak, it's about how you use them to bring people together. That's what makes you truly special. Matteo smiled, his eyes shining with gratitude. I learned that from you, Mama. Tears welled in Maria's eyes as she pulled Matteo into a hug. And I learned so much from you, my love. You've shown me the power of kindness and connection. And for that, I'll always be grateful. As the years went on, Matteo continued to inspire the world with his talents and his message of unity. But for Maria, the most important part of his journey wasn't the accolades or the fame, it was the love and connection they shared as a family. Through every challenge and triumph, they faced it together, bound by a bond that was unbreakable. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that Matteo's story was far from over. It was a story of hope, of bridges built and hearts united, a story that reminded the world of the incredible power of language and love.